Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video, we're going to talk about Warhammer Underworlds, because we just got a preview last night that the new edition of Warhammer Underworlds is coming, Season 5, if I am correct. What do we have? We had the original one, Shadespire, we then had Night Vault, we then had Beastgrave, and we then had Diachasm. So yes, we are on Season 5. Now, Warhammer Underworlds is an interesting game. I've actually recently started playing it with my little brother, and it's been a really interesting play. It's that mix of like card cross-board game using Warhammer models, which are some of the best models in just Games Workshop in its entirety. I truly do believe that. I think the Warhammer Underworlds models are just an absolute dream for painters and hobbyists alike. They're just so good. They offer good alternate sculpts for many different models. I know many a Caradron Overlord player that uses the Aether-Chemist variation in that, or people that grabbed the original Undead Warband and put those skeletons as champions within their units, and a whole bunch of stuff like that. But Warhammer Underworlds itself is a really fun game, and we got to look at our first warband. And today's video, what I wanted to do is I'm going to take a look and give some thoughts on what I think we should see for some new warbands in the next edition. Now, what we're going to do with this is we know for a fact what is pictured here on screen is in the starter set, so I'm going to pick the other half of the starter set, and then we're going to pick the 6 other individual warbands that will be released. So first of all, let's get talking about what we have pictured here on screen. This is a little Hobgrot called Gicket. He is a member of Dakun crew, and he's one of 2 Hobgrots within the warband. Now, it doesn't surprise me at all that we are going to see Kruleboyz. I think there's really only been one edition that's not had sort of major players at the forefront. I mean, we had, for Beastgrave, we had the Kurnothi and Beasts of Chaos when in the middle of an edition, but every time we've had it sort of released as its first one, or at the start of edition, we've had the major players in the starter set released. I mean, the original box set that came out was Stormcast versus some Khorne, and then of course the one that came out with Age of Sigmar 2nd edition, we got the Sacrosanct Chamber Stormcast along with some Nighthaunt, and then we got Beastgrave, which was Kurnothi and Beastman. That was a little bit out there, but then we also got Lumineth and Slaanesh, which sort of made sense because at the time it was a major story being played in the narrative, so that box set sort of made a lot more sense. The Kurnothi Beast one, I think, is the only really weird combination of models and for a starter set. So what I want to do is we're going to talk about which ones I think we should get, and of course this is one of our starter set ones. It doesn't surprise me at all that we are going to see some Kruleboyz. I mean, we've got the other types of Oryx, we've got both the other types of Oryx now. We know we've got Iron Jaws, and we've got we've actually got multiple types of Iron Jaws, do we not? I believe we've got Brutes, and we've got Ardboys. I may be mistaken, but we've also got the Savage Oryx as well, which is really cool. And so it makes sense we're going to see some Kruleboyz. So for starters, let's talk a little bit about what we might see. So we know we've got 2 Hobgrots. That would lead me to believe we're probably going to get 3 different Kruleboy models. I would say we're going to have at least 1 Man-Skewer Bolt Boy, probably a Gut Ripper, and probably like a Gut Ripper Sergeant or something like that. I think it'd be a pretty safe one. Or maybe it'll be a Gut Ripper Sergeant, a Bolt Boy, and maybe some sort of weird beast, maybe a smaller version of the Gnashtooth or something like that. Could be an interesting one to have. But what do you think we'll see in the rest of this Kruleboyz warbands? Remembering we know that Gicket is one of 2 Hobgrots in the warband, so I think it's pretty safe to say we're going to see 3 Kruleboyz within that warband. But let's get cracking into this, and let's talk about what I think the other half of the starter set should or will be. And so the other half of the starter set, I would put money on it saying I think it'll be Thunderstrike, Stormcast, or Stormcast Thunderstrike, however which order you want to put it in. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see this. I think with the new edition, like I said, it continues to sort of play along that, and Kruleboyz and Stormcast are the focal points. I think there's really only one other army I have in consideration for the opposing force of that, and we'll get started with them once we go into my first 6. That would be my first thought of what else might join them, but I'd be pretty confident in saying I think we're going to see a Stormcast Thunderstrike. Now, the Stormcast warbands have generically actually been quite boring. Now, we've had a few different ones. We had the original Stormcast one, which was some Liberators and Steelheart's Champions. We then had the Far Striders, which were some Vanguard Hunters. And then we had Curse Breakers, if I can remember the name properly, which was the only Stormcast warband we have had to date, which isn't all members of the same sort of unit, in that we had a Knight Incantor and 2 Evocators along with him. Now, I do think we're going to stick to that same sort of mold with Stormcast. I wouldn't be surprised, maybe we might see a hero of some sort, but I do think we're just going to see 4 Vindictors as our warband for this. I think 4 is a nice number, definitely start to see maybe more, and it could potentially be 3 Vindictors as just the warband, or maybe we'll see 2 Vindictors or 3 Vindictors along with a hero. Now, if we do see a hero, I would probably strongly think that we're going to see the Knight Arcanum as the hero for the set. My big thinking behind this is they do like adding magical warbands into it, and the Cruel Boys probably don't seem like one that might get a magical addition to them, so I would think maybe the Stormcast might, to show you how everything works in the starter box. This would be my thought of how we're going to see the Stormcast, just 4 Vindictors. Nice, simple warband with some cool alternative looking Vindictor models. Next up, and like I said, this is the only other one I would be considering for the starter box to come alongside it, is Cities of Sigmar. This is because it is the other major player at the moment in the setting. This would be the only other thing I expect to see in a starter set. Now, Cities of Sigmar is interesting because we don't actually have a warband for them just yet. They are one of the only armies, if not the only army in the game that doesn't have an Underworlds related warband. I'm pretty sure they are the only one, excluding something like Legion of the First Prince, which is a sort of army, sort of not an army, because of course we have Slaves to Darkness. But Cities of Sigmar, what would we see? Now, I guess this all depends on the setting, but we know we are in Gur, and we are somewhat near the city of Excelsis, so maybe we're going to see a unit of, say, 5 Free Guild members from Excelsis. This could be really cool. It could really help define how the Mortal Realms look. I think this warband could be a really interesting sort of thing to have. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, though, to see this Free Guild regiment have some varying races in it. Now, they might not necessarily be more traditional things, but we do know things in Excelsis. The Scourge Privateers are rather common. I mean, yes, maybe I'm wishlisting a little, being a major lover of the Scourge, but I don't think it'd be beyond maybe seeing some Scourge in the city. And, you know, maybe a Zealot or something like that as well. But definitely the main focal point of this would be like 3 or 4 Free Guild Guard with 1, maybe 2 if we've got 3 models, as some alternate pieces into the puzzle. This could be a really cool and interesting warband, and really give us that dynamic sort of look into the Mortal Realms that we just don't have yet with the current Free Guild range. Now, for the out there pick, this one is going to be the most out there one, I think, on the entire list. Now, I'm going to say Chaos Dwarves, Legion of Asgore, or Oathbreakers, whatever you want to call them. I think we might see them in Underworlds before we see them in Warhammer Age of Sigmar proper. Now, this has been a common theme with Underworlds. We've actually seen Underworlds warbands released in advance of books and armies for Warhammer Age of Sigmar but first. I mean, we do have some that are yet to have models as a proper army, namely the Kurnothi. They have yet to actually see any actual models on the table, but we're going to remember as well, we did see Molog's Mob and the Gloomspike Gitz warband in Nightfall, both released prior to the Goblins release of the year following them. And we've also had this, I guess, again as well with the second update for Slaanesh. We saw the Slaanesh warband come out, and then we saw the Slaanesh new battle tome come out after them. We saw the same with the same Lumineth as well. We saw the Swordmaster first in that, and it came out after. We've continuously, time and time again, seen these things come out and seen something come after them. So I do think maybe we're due for one that's going to give us a brand new army and showcase something forward, and we have had the teasers of Chaos Dwarves in Warhammer Age of Sigmar from the Hobgrot's narrative we've read from the little stuff in Dominion. So I really do think maybe we're going to see some Chaos Dwarves. Now, what I would think we're going to see in a Chaos Dwarves warband is we may see like 4 to 5 very distinct models. Much like with the Gloomspite Gitz warband, how we saw there was a Squig, there was a Squig Herder, there was a Shaman, and there was all these other sort of bits and pieces, and then Mollog, we saw what like the new Troggoths look like, and all that sort of stuff. I think we might see 4 to 5 distinct models really showcasing the range. We might see what our new ranged unit looks like, we might see what a new combat and elite, and we might see what a hero sort of looks like, maybe a wizard of some sort as well, knowing that, you know, dwarven wizards are Chaos Dwarves sort of thing. But I do think that's how we're going to see this warband. It's going to have and sort of showcase us what's coming for that army. Now we're getting into the random sort of picks, and this is going to be as much wish listing as I think theory, but I think Beasts of Chaos might see another warband within this series. Now I do know that we have only just recently seen one. We got one in Beastgrave, so that was only 2 seasons ago we got some Beasts of Chaos, but I do think Beasts are one of those armies we haven't really fully explored properly. I talked a little bit about how Cruel Boys are going to be the 3rd or maybe 4th. I'm pretty sure there's a Brutes warband. If I'm wrong, just let me know. I'm probably wrong. You know, you've got this wide variety of different Orc warbands looking at the battle tome, and it's like a wide spectrum of different orcs it provides us with. And so Beasts of Chaos, I think we have this option to do that as well, and it might go one of 2 ways. Either we're going to see some monstrous infantry, so either we will see Bulgors, which I think is more likely of the 2 monstrous infantry, the other one being Dragon Ogres. I don't really see that being a thing. They just feel too big, but maybe we might see 2 Dragon Ogres as a warband. I mean, that could be cool, but or just a single Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. Would that be cool? But I do think maybe 1 or 2 Bulgors, or maybe 3 Bulgors might be the way. Maybe 2 Bulgors and maybe some little weedy things around them could be an interesting warband. Or we might see God-marked beasts. Now, of course, we've seen the Zangor, I believe, in the Eyes of the Nine, but we haven't actually seen any other sort of God-marked beasts. And maybe, oh, well, we also see the Slangor in the Slaanesh warband as well. Sorry, my mistake. But maybe we might see some Korngor or some Pestigor, or even a full Zangor or Slangor warband. I don't think the Slangor will get a full warband. I think we would see that maybe for Zangor more. Slangor don't sort of have the options that Zangor have. But a Godmarked warband of beasts would be really cool as well. Next we have Skaven. Now I don't think we've seen Skaven in quite some time. We haven't seen them since the original set where we saw Spikeclaw Swarm. And I think that was a very generic sort of warband. We've got a bunch of clan rats and of course a Skaven warlord in it. So I think maybe a clan specific warband might be on the cards. Now a lot of people are going to wish for Clan Ashen or maybe Clan Slink, as they've been the one predominant in the story. But I don't think that's what we'll see. I would love to see Molder, but once again I don't think that's what we'll see. I think we're going to see a Skaven Scryer warband out of any of them. And what this might look like is I think we're going to have a Warlock Bombardier or Warlock Engineer, hopefully an Engineer and an awesome new model, maybe an Arch Warlock, who knows, but we'll probably see maybe a single Storm Fiend alongside, maybe a weapon team, a Skaven Warlock, and maybe a little Clan Rat or 2 with them as well, creating a really interesting sort of warband. I'd love to see something like a Rattling Gun or a Warpfire Thrower getting us that updated sort of skull, especially an awesome looking new Rattling Gun would be amazing. A Storm Fiend with maybe close combat options rather than shooting, and you know, the Skaven Warlord character as the Arch Warlock or a Warlock Engineer, and maybe a Clan Rat or 2 along with them. Would be a really interesting sort of warband to have. Now, I needed to sort of think about this next one, and I've sort of gone with a Necromancer Soulblight Gravelords warbands because I was trying to think of what could we do for death that we haven't seen yet. We've obviously just got Canaan's Reavers, which is our Ossiarch Bone Rippers. We've already got Flesh Eater Courts. We've got Vampires. We've got a Skeleton warband. So what really has been unexplored? We've also got the Nighthaunt, obviously, as well. So I thought maybe we might see a Necromancer. And why I thought Necromancer is because, well, Deadwalkers. This would be the interesting part that we haven't seen yet. Zombies, we've got those brand new zombie sculpts. Why would they not maybe try to make some more zombies? So maybe a Necromancer and some zombies would be what we see. Maybe a Necromancer, a couple of normal zombies, maybe a zombie ogre as well. Something like the Kusagi Guard out of the, I guess, ill-fated Warhammer Quest Cursed City. But I think this would be the way we would see death. I'm really not sure what we would see for death other than this. Maybe you might see a vampire in place of the Necromancer, or a vampire and thralls, the ones we have. Maybe you might see a flesh eater quartz one with maybe some of the larger models, but or some other Nighthaunt variants, maybe something like the Banshees, etc. But I really do think this is going to be what we see for death. Necromancer leading some zombie undead would be really cool, especially if you get some cool zombies like a zombie ogre or a zombie orc or something like that. And so my last thoughts on a warband, I think we might see some Spiderfang grots. A lot of people thought we were going to get Spiderfang grots when we saw the rune mark go up for the Bone Splitters warband. I always said Bone Splitters, and I was right. In the end, it didn't look like Spiderfang to me. But I do think Spiderfang are going to be one of the ones we see. Much like how we've got all the different variations of Auric, I think exploring the Gloomspite Gits book has been really interesting. We've got obviously the Troggoth, and we've got the regular one. So why not now? Let's go and have a look at the Spiderfang grots and sort of give them some cool new models. I think the warband might consist of maybe 1 or 2 Spider Riders. We'll probably see a Shaman, which would be great. This kit will get picked up a ton if it has a Shaman model within it. Maybe 1 unmounted spider, or maybe a couple of little small spiders, and a couple of unmounted forest goblins as well. Hopefully leading to a full forest goblin release for the Gloomspite Gits. This would be really cool to have foot forest goblins and all that sort of stuff. Would be really great to see, I think, for a Spiderfang army. But I do think this is going to be the last warband we see for the season. Not necessarily in last place release, but I definitely think this is my last thoughts on what we might see. With this all said though, I'd really love to hear from everyone on what they think we're going to see for Warhammer Underworlds. It's a really exciting time, because Underworlds, for me, the models are always amazing. I get them all just to paint them, and we've just started playing the game, like I said, so we hope to get some of that on the channel very shortly to show you all how the game is played. But until then, let us know what your picks are. What do you think we're going to see? What do you think we're going to see in the warbands you think we're going to see? All of that jazz, leave it in the comments. Let us know all your bold predictions. Let you know how wrong you think we are. But thank you all for watching. Well, thank you for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, if you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine community here at Cinderful Gaming, you can do so by coming and joining our Discord, of which there is a link in the description of the video to go and join. Also, if you'd like to help support the channel in another way, you can do so either by Patreon, YouTube members, or by going and purchasing some merch on our Teespring store. You can find the links to all 3 in the description of the video, once again, to Patreon, YouTube members, and to our merch store on Teespring. But also, we'd like to give a special shout out to everyone who helps support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. So, thank you to our patrons: Christian Weir, James, Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, Tim Newman, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, MJ, and Dynat226. And a special thank you as well to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Steve T, The Real Zeop, Chris Wallace, Turai12, Vinny, Lock Lorick, Matt Mollin, Becca Kinski Groupie, The Johnny84, and El Mapache. Thank you as well, a special thanks especially to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel. An absolute legend of a person. And then thank you as well to the legend that is Xmorphic. He does so much amazing work in the background of our Discord server, making sure everything works and looks nice and pretty there for us all to enjoy. So that's enough said from me though. Thank you all for watching. Once again, stay safe everyone, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.